I'm sure we've all been in that situation where something exciting happens, and you start making positive future plans in your head. Filled with optimism and motivation, you can't hold back and end up sharing your ideas and ambitions with family and friends. You feel confident it will all go as planned, but then, at some point, those plans fall through, leaving you not only disappointed, but also having to explain to everyone you shared it with why things didn't work out this time. It's an uncomfortable experience because we often want to share our ideas with those close to us. Yet it seems that every time we reveal our plans, something inexplicably goes wrong. Everything seemed smooth, but after sharing, it's like the energy just dissipates. So, why am I bringing this up in the context of Minecraft? Well, it actually parallels how Mojang handles updates. The developers share exciting updates for the future, but later we find out they couldn't deliver, missed the mark, or decided to scrap the ideas entirely. Remember the Fireflies discussed at Minecraft Live, meant to add atmosphere to the game? Or the bundle they previewed back in 2021, almost 3 years ago now? Yes, I know they recently added the bundle in a snapshot, but how many other ideas have been abandoned forever? When you share your ideas too soon, it's like you're getting ahead of yourself. You're showing the map, but the path hasn't been traveled yet. That's why I believe Mojang should stop announcing their plans to the public. It kills all the hype for updates, which already come only twice a year. People lose interest in the updates as soon as they know what's in them. Take the recent 1.22 announcement, for example. They showed a new biome and a new mob. Sure, it introduces new mechanics and blocks, but if we're being honest, most people stopped caring just days after the reveal. Nobody talks about it because it felt underwhelming, and the hype fizzled out. Minecraft's hype is fading, and Mojang helping by revealing everything they're working on. This bothers me because Minecraft has unlimited potential. Let me draw a comparison with another game, Counter-Strike. The developers of Counter-Strike never announce updates in advance, whether it's a major release or a small patch. Updates drop at random times, and you never know what's coming. Maybe a new map, a new weapon, or an entire operation. Big updates are rare, just like in Minecraft, but the hype for a Counter-Strike update is massive. Fans comb through every bit of information. Data miners are constantly looking for new files, and the developers subtly tease the fans, changing a banner on their profile or reposting something, hinting at what's to come. When the update finally hits, it's explosive. Everyone's streaming, making videos, eager to see what's new. But I can't say the same for Minecraft. There's almost no hype around the updates because the developers already shared everything. And honestly, I didn't even notice when update 1.2 dropped since we already knew everything about it. Some may disagree with me, but I suggest that Mojang keep future updates completely under wraps until release. Let the players themselves build up the excitement. Maybe it'll be an end update, or perhaps a winter update? That would be far better than the current approach. There's a saying, value is created through scarcity. Keeping updates secret would increase their value and, in turn, people's interest in the game. It would also ease the pressure on developers, as they wouldn't need to rush to meet deadlines for features they'd already revealed, and fans might be less critical. The most memorable people are those who leave an air of mystery, a sense of unfinished stories. Think about it. Who intrigues you more? Those who reveal everything about themselves right away? Or those you find yourself trying to understand piece by piece? I've always been drawn to enigmatic individuals, the ones you know little about. The more I tried to uncover their layers, the more I found myself fascinated by them. They don't lay all their cards on the table, but instead keep a shroud of mystery around them. And it's precisely this veil of secrecy that sparks curiosity. It's not a coincidence. This entire process is the magic of the unknown. Now let's move on to the main topic. What updates do we need in Minecraft? Nature update. By this, I mean the overworld, the forests, biomes, and overall atmosphere. Since this is the primary dimension where we spend most of our time, it should feel the most immersive for players. Let's start with clouds. What do clouds add to the game? Are they an important part of the world, contributing atmosphere? Not really. Currently, they're just small, flat rectangles at a fixed height, dull and uninspiring, to the point where most players just turn them off. We all know how clouds look in real life. They're at varying heights and have different volumes. Just imagine dynamic clouds in Minecraft, with varied height and size. It would add so much beauty and atmosphere. For instance, you might be going about your day and see a distant storm cloud with lightning. And just like in real life, you'd know rain is on the way. And speaking of rain, it also needs an overhaul. Right now, rain starts and stops abruptly, and it's global, covering the entire world no matter how far you travel. Even if you fly above the clouds, it still rains. Rain should depend on the location of the clouds, with different intensities in different areas, starting gradually from a drizzle to a full storm or downpour. Rain should be below the clouds, which would be at different heights and span across larger areas. Clouds would also render at farther distances than regular blocks, so players can see where they're located, with more detailed rendering for nearby clouds and simplified for distant ones. This approach wouldn't impact performance significantly because distant clouds would load easily, while closer ones would load in more detail. Clouds could even be a solid block of one color, optimizing the game. All of this would create an incredibly immersive atmosphere in Minecraft. Just imagine flying with Elytra through massive clouds that captivate you, making each flight unique. Picture yourself soaring above the clouds, with the bright sun shining, while heavy rain pours below you. Pretty cool, right? Now, let's talk about rivers in Minecraft. They're decent, but they have their limitations. For example, the water in them is always static, unlike in real life, where water flows in one direction. Waterfalls could make the terrain generation stunning, with rivers flowing from mountains down to the sea or ocean. This might require some adjustments to water mechanics for better optimization with flowing rivers. Alongside rivers, terrain generation would also need to evolve to create a seamless, natural look. Something like this would truly elevate the Minecraft experience. Forests in Minecraft could use more variety and detail to make them feel alive and captivating. I propose adding more tree variants to existing biomes and incorporating fallen trees in the Java edition to create a more natural look. Sticks that fall from trees would lie on the ground and could be picked up. Vines could grow on tree trunks for added visual appeal, while moss could naturally spread throughout forests, covering stones entirely. Adding weeds as a natural variation among regular grass would diversify the terrain. These weeds could also grow in abandoned garden beds. Leaves would slowly fall from trees, and shorter grass patches could grow alongside regular grass. Leaves might accumulate beneath trees or float on water. Players could stack these leaves to create shelters or craft leaf carpets. When a tree is chopped down, hanging leaves could gradually fall to the ground, adding a touch of realism. Fireflies, revisiting the concept from 2021, could enhance the atmosphere in nighttime forests without interacting with frogs. Introducing new mobs would bring additional depth to the game. Deer could inhabit cold biomes, providing venison, a new food source. Forest bears might serve as rare mobs, dropping meat and occasionally appearing with cubs. Birds, even with minimal functionality, would greatly enhance the game's atmosphere, fluttering around trees and filling biomes with their songs. Beaches could feature palm trees and crabs, as teased during mob votes. Wild boars in forests could be neutral mobs that attack only if provoked. The vulture, introduced in the biome vote, could live in the Badlands, scavenging peaceful animals. This biome might also include flowering cacti and tumbleweeds. Butterflies could be daytime ambient mobs, complementing fireflies as nighttime equivalents. Meerkats from the biome vote could inhabit deserts and badlands. Glow squids should emit actual light with glowing particles surrounding them, instead of merely having bright textures. A new water mob, jellyfish, could have different colors based on depth. These jellyfish could also be used to craft a unique block, solid when dry, but allowing water to fill it, enabling swimming inside without spilling. In the biome vote, we were shown a new tree, the baobab, as well as a new mob, the ostrich, which hides its head in the sand, and also a termite nest. It's interesting to think about what mechanics could be developed with them. All mobs, passive and hostile, should have at least 2 variants to reduce monotony and enhance the world's diversity. Large flowers should fit into large pots, a feature oddly missing in the game. Adding more variations for all stone types, bricks, chiseled bricks, and pillars would expand building options. Roses, replaced by poppies in a past update, could return with multiple color options. Small environmental effects could add realism. For instance, water splashes of varying sizes when objects or mobs fall into water. Rain could create droplet effects on water, and splashing animations would enhance immersion. Waterfall clouds. Underwater chests could release bubbles when opened. Dust in caves would add atmosphere. Dune grass sometimes could grow in beach sands like in real life, making the environment more realistic. Occasionally, cacti could bloom with flowers. Sticks could be repurposed for building, such as crafting larger sticks or creating leaf hedges for decorative purposes. Additionally, bark from stripped logs should drop as an item, usable for crafting paper or reapplying it to logs. Mushrooms will grow on trees. Items will illuminate their surroundings if the player equips them or if they are dropped on the ground. The world of Minecraft currently has very few structures that truly motivate players to explore. Yes, the Minecraft world is vast, but it feels mostly empty and uninteresting to traverse. To make exploration more engaging, a variety of new structures should be added. These could include small and large structures, or even old ones reimagined with new blocks in different biomes. In recent updates, the developers seem to enjoy adding horror elements. In the Wild update, it was the Warden, terrifying players with its sudden appearance.
What the fuck is that? What is that?
Now they've introduced the creaking, which appears in forests at night and scares players when they're not looking. This brings me to the idea of spiders crawling on walls. This would make spiders more dangerous enemies and add a new horror aspect to the game. Lastly, diverse weather effects like gusts of wind or even blizzards should be included. Currently, all we have is rain or snow, with the same intensity. Imagine the atmosphere if storms or something similar were introduced. At night, there could be northern lights, falling stars, or even meteors. Sound update. Sound is often easy to overlook. It's easy to get caught up in a game's visuals, and it makes sense. After all, the way a game looks is the most obvious aspect. How good does it look? Does it have ray tracing, glow effects, beams, and all the other graphical features that transform it from a nice-looking game into something stunning? However, once you dig deeper, you'll realize that a game's sound design plays just as significant a role as its graphics. Ambient sound in Minecraft is supposed to set the mood, and surprisingly, it's done incredibly well in the Nether. But for some reason, the overworld is almost completely devoid of atmosphere. Walking through the overworld, you hear nothing but your own footsteps. It's strange. Just listen to the stark difference between the dimensions. The overworld needs ambient sounds for every biome and time of day. Beyond ambience, the general sound design should also be revamped. Caves could feature echo effects, sound could be muffled when inside buildings, and much more. The sound of footsteps on different blocks should also be refined. And even the sounds of items in your inventory should feel dynamic and varied. These changes would make the overworld more vibrant, immersive, and alive, enhancing the player's connection to the world, all through the power of improved sound design. The End Update. The End is one of the most mysterious, and at the same time, one of the most underrated dimensions in Minecraft. Despite its enormous potential for development, it has remained unchanged for 7 years. During this time, Mojang completely transformed the Nether by adding new biomes, structures, mobs, and entire mechanics. But the End, with its empty islands and rare end cities, is still overlooked. This is especially strange given how many creative opportunities this dimension offers. It's time to revamp the End and turn it into a full-fledged, exciting adventure, filled with new discoveries. The End should receive everything: new biomes, mobs, ores, structures, and of course, new bosses. This dimension deserves to become not just the final destination of the journey, but a separate world that players will want to explore again and again. Each biome should have a unique atmosphere, emphasized by its sound design. Besides biomes, the End needs new structures. Currently, the only significant build is the End City, but that is clearly not enough. Among the new structures, there could be ruined End cities, small houses or outposts filled with useful loot, underground labyrinths with traps and secret rooms, shipwrecks, which can now be found not only in End cities, villages inhabited by new peaceful or neutral mobs, new dungeons similar to End cities, and most importantly, a redesign of strongholds. The design of this structure has not changed since Minecraft's release. This structure should be completely overhauled, with new rooms, loot, and designs. I believe that developers can handle this perfectly because in the Tricky Trials update, a new dungeon was added with a huge number of new rooms, new mechanics, and new loot. Enderite is a new ore that will spawn in new caves in the End and can only be mined with a netherite pickaxe. To smelt it, you will need a special furnace made from a blast furnace, endstone, and diamonds. Enderite upgrades netherite tools and armor, adding unique properties. For example, when upgrading armor, the player can choose between increasing durability or speed. Enderite elytra will be able to fly faster or be more durable, depending on the choice. Most likely, an entirely new crafting table with its interface will be needed for upgrades. The second ore is malachite, which can be used to make decorative blocks as well as teleportation blocks. If you place a teleporter and connect it to another teleporter using malachite, you can move blocks over any distance. Also, in the new biomes, there will be a new block that will launch the player upward if they step on it. The block will work like a slime block, but unlike slime blocks, which have inertia and gradually lose height, this new block will constantly push the player up several blocks. There will also be a new plant that will push the player upward when standing on its very top. A unique weather system could be introduced, where visibility worsens and the rain falls upside down. New mobs will make each biome unique. For example, Ender Slime, from which you can create new Ender Slime blocks. Instead of pushing the player away, the block will launch the player upward at high speed, creating a new fast travel mechanic. With this block, players will be able to move quickly, both vertically and horizontally. Jellyfish and Enderfish, which live in water bodies and serve as a food source like hoglins in the Nether. Flying creatures that would perfectly fit the atmosphere of the End. Among hostile mobs, new types of Endermen with various abilities can be added, fast but weak ones or slow but durable ones. Their design could be inspired by Minecraft dungeons, where Endermen look very stylish and cool. In addition, new purple water could be introduced, perhaps regular water from the overworld that turns purple in the End and gains new properties, such as dealing damage to players. This means you can no longer escape from Endermen by pouring water under you. Unique guardians for structures could also be introduced, like golems guarding End cities. One of the main changes in the End should be an update to the boss system. Currently, the only significant event in the End is the dragon fight. However, the fight itself feels outdated, and its mechanics are not engaging enough. It is suggested to remove the starting island with the dragon. Instead, players would spawn in a random point of the End, and the dragon would become one of several bosses that need to be defeated to reach the final opponent. The dragon's nest would be a central element of the battle. Now the dragon would protect its egg, adding purpose to the fight. After defeating the dragon, the player would receive its egg. It would be required to summon a new boss. However, before encountering it, the player would need to overcome many trials. The next boss is inspired by the End Reimagined map for Bedrock Edition, created by third-party developers. At the top of a tall tower filled with traps and loot, the player would meet a boss chained to the structure. To free it, players would need to place Ender Eyes into special blocks. The fight with this boss would have 3 stages. First, destroying the towers that regenerate its health. Second, an aerial battle dodging its attacks. And finally, a face-to-face encounter in a confined space. Victory would grant a key to the final structure, marking the climax of the journey. This final structure would consist of 3 towers, 2 auxiliary towers, and 1 central tower. In the 2 towers, players would need to activate mechanisms using the key and the dragon egg. After this, a portal to the Endkeeper would open. The structure would be filled with traps and lots of loot to help players prepare for the final battle. Here, players could find rare resources to craft weapons and armor for the ultimate showdown. The Endkeeper, the final boss, would be a true test of all player skills. This fight would combine elements from all previous battles, including dodging, parkour, archery, and melee combat. It could summon Endermen to complicate the battle. After defeating it, all Endermen in the end would stop attacking players, as they were under the Keeper's control. Winter Update. Winter biomes in Minecraft have always felt a bit empty, just areas covered in snow with frozen water. However, the Winter Update could completely transform these frosty landscapes, adding more details, interesting mechanics, and visual diversity. All foliage in winter forests remains green, which looks odd. While this works for spruce trees, regular trees with green leaves in winter seem strange since leaves fall off in real life. At the very least, they could be made white, which would fit the Minecraft aesthetic. Even better, a new biome with bare trees could be added, featuring unique new sticks I mentioned earlier. Snow particles would fall from the trees, creating a magical winter atmosphere. Snow would also filter through the leaves, covering the ground beneath. Snowfall could be made more realistic. Snow would accumulate layer by layer without requiring special commands. The snow itself could be reworked. Currently, it falls in a uniform trajectory at the same speed. It would be amazing to see snow interacting with wind, falling at varying speeds, as it does in real life. Blizzards could also be added, where visibility drops, heavy snowfalls occur, and strong winds blow. Imagine the immersive atmosphere of a blizzard. All blocks in winter biomes could automatically or manually become snow-covered. A new snowy dirt block could be introduced to prevent green grass from appearing under items. Snow would now pass through fences, gates, and other objects. If you break the block under the snow, it would no longer disappear but fall gently to the ground. Snow falling on water would freeze it. All vegetation in winter biomes would become snow-covered to maintain the winter theme. Snow bricks would be a new building material crafted from snow. Ice could also be refined into ice bricks or polished ice, and icy glass, resembling regular glass panes, could be introduced. In some biomes, mines would be completely made of ice. Inside, icicles would serve as stalactite equivalents, and could also generate on blocks and trees. Thin ice would break if you stand on it, causing you to fall into the water. Rivers would feature a new type of ice that doesn't break when walking on it, but shatters if you jump. A new weather effect, frost, would cause glass to become covered with a thin layer of ice during snowfalls, enhancing the atmosphere and evoking a sense of cold. Torches and campfires would now melt snow and ice around them, naturally creating paths through the snowy terrain. Sleds would be a new vehicle designed specifically for winter biomes, allowing fast travel across snow. However, sleds wouldn't work in non-snowy areas. Moving downhill would allow you to gain significant speed, but going uphill would slow you down. To maintain speed on inclines, you could hitch your wolf to the sled, letting you travel quickly. Mobs in winter biomes would also become snow-covered. Penguin, a cute, neutral mob that inhabits winter biomes. It can be tamed and adds life to these areas. Deer, already introduced in the nature update, it brings charm to winter biomes. Frozen Zombie, a dangerous new enemy inspired by Minecraft dungeons. Its attacks inflict slowness, making escape more difficult. Yeti, a legendary creature of the winter biomes. Rare and powerful, it guards its territory. It won't attack unless provoked, but getting too close will trigger aggression. Iceologer, a hostile mob from the 2020 mob vote. It attacks with clouds of flying ice and returns to make winter biomes more challenging. New effect, freezing. A new effect could be added and applied through a bow enchantment. Arrows shot from such a bow would temporarily freeze mobs, giving players time to take cover or strike back. Sculk update. I can't say much about this update. Its main hook is the portal in the ancient city, and the developers' hints about a new boss they want to add.
Giovanni Tornatoramato asks, do you have a plan for adding a new boss?
The Sculk update should naturally introduce a new dimension, accessed by activating the portal. However, it shouldn't feel meaningless. Perhaps this will be the hardest dimension yet. To enter, players might need to defeat the Ender Dragon, who would drop a key for the portal. Entering unprepared would mean 0 chances of survival. This dimension would be a dark, ominous place teeming with creatures of unmatched power. Mobs would emit eerie sounds, signaling their presence. The Sculk swarm would be small Sculk creatures moving along walls and floors like spiders. Feeding on light, torches and lanterns would go out in their presence. They could also inflict blindness on players for a short time when attacking. Exploring this dimension would be worthwhile, as it would feature the best loot in the game. Underground caves completely covered in Sculk would contain Sculk eggs that hatch new mobs. Various ruined structures would generate across the world, hinting that it was once a normal realm before the Sculk infection took over. Sculk crystals found in chests could be used to craft new armor and tools. Likely, the new boss hinted at by developers would serve as the final encounter for this dimension. Aether update. This update seems even more unlikely than the previous one. The Aether mod was created over 10 years ago, and players have always wanted its addition, often questioning why we have the Nether, but no Aether. This dimension could be the next destination for players after conquering the Nether. While I doubt a heaven dimension will ever be added, it feels too far from the vanilla Minecraft style and would require immense work. Part of me still holds hope that one day we'll see this beautiful realm in the game. Desert update. A desert update would be fantastic because the biome feels too empty. It has barely changed throughout Minecraft's history. Future updates must enhance this biome. As shown during the biome vote, a desert update could introduce palm trees, most likely generating in a new oasis biome, and a new mob, the meerkat. It's unclear what meerkats would do, but they could stand on 2 legs and perhaps eat fish. Small new structures should generate throughout the desert, hinting at a past civilization. Breaking vases could yield treasure maps. Occasionally, players would encounter quicksand, working similarly to powdered snow. It would pull players down and cause suffocation damage. Prolonged exposure to the sun could trigger heat stroke, causing nausea. Players would need to seek shade or drink a water bottle to recover, giving water bottles more utility. However, that's not enough. The desert pyramid needs a full rework. While I love the current pyramid, its loot can be collected in seconds by breaking a single block. In the reworked version, players would face puzzles and loot chests scattered throughout the structure. Breaking blocks would not be an option, as players would suffer the mining fatigue effect, similar to ocean monuments. Players would have to fully explore and solve all challenges. Mummies would spawn in these revamped pyramids. While Mojang has said they won't add mummies due to their similarity to husks, they could work as exclusive mobs within desert pyramids. Killing mummies would drop paper and rotten flesh. In the final room, players would face the Pharaoh, a mini-boss whose defeat would lift the mining fatigue effect. Layers of sand would generate similarly to snow layers in snowy biomes, adding depth to desert terrain. Sandstone bricks, cobblestone, and stone blocks could have sandy variants created by sandstorms. Sandstorms would reduce visibility and introduce unique sand particles, adding an immersive atmosphere. Imagine getting caught in the middle of a sandstorm. Truly a breathtaking experience. Other things. In this update, I will include things that could be added alongside a larger update. Make invisible mechanics, like potential hunger, saturation restoration, or health recovery, visible in the UI when holding food or healing items. At low health, the interface should visually crack to reflect the danger. The achievements window should be larger and utilize the full screen. If you look away while breaking a block, the progress shouldn't immediately reset, but pause for a brief moment. Each enchanted book should have its own texture to identify it without needing to hover over it. Allow placing blocks in gaps in front, above, or below, even if the targeted side isn't visible. Fix the tiny gaps in item models. Most items have these, and once you notice them, it's hard to unsee. Add tooltips to enchanted books, explaining what each enchantment does. Mobs shouldn't just appear out of nowhere. There should be a smooth spawning animation. Enable movement or boat rowing while the inventory is open, as freezing in place feels restrictive. Add icons to the main menu for better button navigation. Display potion duration as icons in the top right corner, removing the need to open the inventory constantly. When hovering over a shulker box, show its contents without needing to place and open it. The brewing stand interface should include recipes. Constantly searching Google while using it gets tedious, and built-in recipes would encourage more potion use. Transparent item frames should be a craftable option using glass. Revamp spawn egg textures to either be 3D or feature mob heads, as the current design is confusing, especially with more mobs being added. Introduce a single button mechanic for sitting and lying down anywhere, adding more immersion and customization. Add sleeping bags that let players skip the night without resetting their spawn point. Finally, allow players to place slabs vertically, which would significantly expand building possibilities and excite the community. The spyglass could show information about blocks or mobs when looking at them. When exiting a world, the game should take a screenshot. This screenshot could replace the dirt loading screen when re-entering the world. Items placed on the crafting table, anvil, or enchantment table should appear visually on the block itself. Replace outdated PNG animations for smoke and fire with better designed, blocky particle effects. Revamp the menu textures for interactable blocks to make them more appealing. It's 2024, and Minecraft still lacks character animations apart from swimming. There should be animations for holding maps, placing shields, rowing boats, riding horses, looking at compasses, climbing ladders, and using spyglasses. These animations should be visible in both first-person and third-person views, with an option to disable them for simplicity. Add the ability to carry chests instead of breaking them and picking up all the dropped items. Similarly, allow us to carry animals, as mob AI is often too clumsy, and moving them manually would be much easier. I still don't understand why Minecraft doesn't have the option to switch the white interface to a dark one. Introduce more pumpkin designs to diversify decorations. Adding a detailed eating animation would make the process visually satisfying. show enchantments on items when held in hand, as in Bedrock Edition. An improved F3 screen, where every line can be customized. The ability to add worlds to favorites, with selected worlds always appearing at the top of the list. Emotes in Java Edition, allowing players to interact and communicate in fun ways with others. The ability to stack any slabs on top of each other. It's strange that this feature still isn't in the game. The ability to stack any slabs on top of each other. It's strange that this feature still isn't in the game. Cookies, paper, and bread can be crafted in a 2x2 crafting grid. Different textures for goat horns. I don't understand why they are all the same. Slabs can be combined into blocks in a shapeless recipe. Vertical planks should also be added, because horizontal planks don't always suit builds. Candles placed and lit on soul sand or soul soil will now emit soul flames, automatic running with one button. Firework rockets will launch into the air immediately from the ground. Ladders made from all types of wood. When picking up items, they will be displayed in the corner of the screen. Holding an emerald block will attract villagers to follow you, just like animals follow food. Right-clicking a tiny slime with a bucket puts it in there. Diagonal fences have long been needed in the game. Enchanted books show which items they can be applied to. The texture of cauldrons should change if lava is inside, making them look extremely hot. And if powder snow is inside, it will cover them. Sponges can be placed directly on water without needing to find a block for them. Maps display in the tooltip. Stone tools can be crafted with any type of stone. Glass drops shards, which act like glowstone dust. Crafting them in a 2x2 grid creates a glass block bag. Double doors will open together. When a tool breaks on your hotbar, it will be restocked by other items of the same type taken from your inventory. Slimes will take no fall damage. Secret name tags will have their own unique texture. Item frames can be dyed in different colors. The chest texture will differ depending on the type of wood it is made from. The same goes for bookshelves. This should have been in the game long ago. Improve the book recipe. Add new functions like crafting in one click, smithing table recipe book, brewing stand recipe book, pin commonly used recipes, view locked recipes, flip through pages with your mouse wheel, and keep the crafting screen centered when opening the recipe book. Breaking grass or crops with a hoe will break a 3x3 area of them, adding more functionality to the hoe. Villagers should not only be white, but also have different skin colors. A button that, when pressed, will display the item you pointed at in the chat, allowing players to see it. Wool of any color can be dyed. Charcoal can be used as an alternative way to craft black dye. Rotten flesh and poisonous potatoes can be used in the composter. Holding a block will show how many you have in your inventory. Horses will swim in water while being ridden instead of sinking, and force dismounting their rider. A search function in chests for quickly finding the item I need in a large and cluttered chest. An animation when transferring items. A new inventory and chest feature that sorts items, transfers, or stacks them into the chest. Tipped arrows are displayed in loaded crossbows, alongside a unique triple arrow texture for multi-shot crossbows. In creative mode, we can pick up blocks from any distance. 8 logs can be crafted directly into 4 chests. Right-clicking can harvest and plant crops immediately. Shift right-clicking an armor stand will swap its armor set with whatever armor you're currently wearing. Furnaces crafted from deep slate or black stone should have their own texture. Unique textures for tropical fish. More varieties of squid textures. Redstone update. Redstone mechanics haven't been updated in a long time. The most recent addition was the calibrated Sculk sensor, but it doesn't seem like it will gain much popularity among players who love Redstone. A Redstone update should include the following features. Obsidian pressure plates. These would only trigger when players walk over them, offering more control in contraptions. Block placing dispensers. Dispensers would gain the ability to place blocks, including crops like wheat seeds or potatoes, adding more automation possibilities. The chute, a new automation block that accepts items from hoppers, droppers, or other methods. It drops items directly below it, perfectly centered every time. Chains can now connect blocks when moved by pistons. They visually determine connections, enabling creative new tricks in builds. The Ender Watcher, a new redstone input block that emits a signal when a player looks directly at it. Dispensers would now be able to insert discs into jukeboxes, including ambience discs. Pistons would be able to move blocks with data, like chests or furnaces. If the block cannot be moved to a valid position, it breaks and drops its contents. The Randomizer, a new redstone component crafted similarly to a comparator but using prismarine crystals. When powered, it randomly activates either the left or right output. Copper pipes, crafted from copper ingots and glass, these pipes would transport items from one point to another. Hoppers, droppers, or similar blocks can be used to input items into the pipes. These additions would bring fresh excitement to redstone mechanics and offer new possibilities for automation and creativity. Thank you for watching until the end. This was quite a lengthy video that took a while to make. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.